we're just going to put one question to each of our excellent speakers, I have to say. I think they've covered all ground. They've answered all your questions, but we will give them an opportunity to answer one question each before we go on with our program. And David, I'll come to you first. And there was a question related to a point that you made earlier on the need for the GCC chemical producers to become more competitive generally with Europe and the US, and to really make that shift from commodity chemicals to the value specialty products, which was again referenced a lot yesterday as well. And the question that we have up on Slido referring to that is, how exactly should companies make this shift? What are the steps that they need to really take to make this shift to specialty products and to really get a bigger segment of that market?
It's obviously a very complicated question, but we see some of it, being able to be leveraged off of local availability of feedstocks. As I mentioned, advanced looking at derivatives of pie oil and hydrocarbon resins, more value-added type of materials that are really contained within the molecule streams that are existing within the other facilities. And there's other ways. I feel certain, and we see this in China as well, in their 13th five-year plan, where there's going to have to be partnerships overseas or acquisitions of other companies that have technologies that can come and be brought into Saudi Arabia with that know-how. And so it's a combination of looking at the organic availability within the country and being able to get more out of the existing molecules that are there, building on the framework of more liquids cracking, and then secondly to also identify specific outside technologies that could be brought in and be viable within the GCC.
So is it the cost of technology that has slowed that progress down, do you think? I mean, if the technologies are out there to import,
I think, quite frankly, the returns that are offered when you've got relatively low-cost feedstocks at 75 cents per million or $1.50 per million, it's been a resource monetization. The return on capital of being able to just take that to a very viable, fungible, commodity-oriented chemical that can be put away into the markets in Asia Pacific very efficiently, that has been, the model that's created the most value. And I think what it doesn't do is enable the broader diversification of the GCC economy, and the lack of availability of feedstocks now, doesn't make that as much of an option anymore. And so it's going to be more thinking about broader chemical opportunities in feedstocks.
Okay, thank you very much. And Dr. Taher, to go to you, I mean, you covered a lot of ground there, but one of the points you highlighted was that the problem in the region isn't a lack of funds or a lack of finance, it's the mitigating risk, it's, creating, as you said, solutions here and not being afraid to take that risk. You said that however, the liquidity in the GCC is much lower than the perception.
Yes.
Can you just elaborate on that, and what will it take? How is that impacting how businesses operate, or are they as ignorant as, you may have said that they are, and that everyone thinks the liquidity is out there, but it's actually not. Are they feeling that impact, the lack of liquidity, when they go to the banks, when they want to take out loans, or are they not feeling that?
What I mean by a lack of liquidity in our region, but the petrochemical industry and such industries are very attractive internationally. What I mean by there is no lack of liquidity, international money could flow like crazy to such industries.
But local liquidity is very low.
Local liquidity also can join, but in a lower part. Okay, the majority could be international money coming, either equity or finance or leverage, okay, to come and finance such industries with pleasure. But all what we need to do is work on the risk mitigation, identify the risk parameters and work on them: insurance, credit security, equity security, whatever. All these things could tie up and shape up our industry and make a very lower weighted average cost of capital and make international investors just fly.
So the companies here need to just change their model of what financing they're seeking.
Definitely.
And you also referred to the fact that the banks here in the Gulf generally are, wasting their resources, if you like, on mortgages, and poor us who have to take out mortgages and make their payments. They should be focusing on, investing in the economy and bigger. What do you think will make the banks make that shift in terms of
Well, they should have more access. Our central banks, unfortunately, or monetary agencies, unfortunately, they allow banks very minimum or very little exposure to international banks, which means a direct pay letter of credits are not available for such big industries, okay, to be given to corresponding banks, okay, to finance such industries. So what I mean is central banks have to work hard on exposing our banks to international secured debt through pension funds, through international big banks, which have long-term maturity loans. So they can, and they take the money from these banks, internationally or pension funds, and they lend them directly to our industries. And this way, the banks are shaped up, the industries are shaped up, and they are relaxed, they're more profitable, they're more risk mitigated, and they're more secured. So that's why it's a combination of financial engineering that has to work more on the risk mitigation, not of accessing money by any price. I mean, I remember SABIC issued bonds with 9% return or yield. This is crazy
Very
for a bond.
expensive,
It's
yeah.
just because it's in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but that is the
So-
trend, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
so
they're considered
why?
high risk, but they shouldn't be.
Why?
As you said, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to both our speakers. I'm sure you would agree, gave us excellent, but I'm looking forward to downloading their presentations later on for my data. Thank you very much to Mr. Witte and Dr. Taher. Thank you very
Pleasure.
much.